Emily Parker was 17, the kind of girl who never broke rules. Honor roll student, captain of her school's debate team, always home by 8 p.m. Her mother, Lisa Parker, worked double shifts at a 24-hour diner in downtown Portland, Oregon. It was just the two of them since Emily's dad left when she was 6. They had their routines, dinner leftovers, homework at the kitchen table, late-night TV reruns before bed. That Friday felt normal, almost too normal. Emily stayed late at a friend's house to finish a history project. By the time she left, the sun had dipped behind the forest line, painting the sky in bruised purples and reds. The air smelled of pine and wet asphalt. She zipped her hoodie up, threw on her backpack, and texted her mom, "Emily, heading home now. Be there soon. Lisa." "Okay, sweetheart. Be careful. Love you, Red Heart." The neighborhood was quiet, save for the occasional car passing by. Leaves whispered under her sneakers. She walked the same path she always did, down Maple Street, across the old bridge, then right toward their small white house with the peeling blue shutters. But tonight, she felt watched. She kept catching glances of a white van parked near the corner, the same one she'd noticed outside the school parking lot earlier that week. At first, she brushed it off. People parked there all the time. Still, her steps quickened. Halfway across the bridge, her phone buzzed again, but it wasn't her mom this time. "Unknown number. You dropped something." Her stomach twisted. She looked around. The bridge was empty. Another message. "Turn around." The wind picked up, carrying the faint creak of the old street lamp. Emily slowly turned and saw a figure leaning against the white van. A man in a dark jacket, baseball cap low over his eyes, waving a phone in his hand. "Hey," he called. "You dropped your phone back there." Emily froze. Her phone was in her hand. "No, I didn't," she called back. The man smiled, too wide, too still. "Then who's been texting you?" A chill ran through her. She took a step back. Then the van's side door slid open fast. Another man inside. A rag. A sweet, chemical smell. A sharp sting in her throat. Everything spun. The stars blurred into streaks of white. Her last thought before darkness swallowed her was of her mother, alone, waiting at the kitchen table, the TV humming in the background, a plate of reheated dinner growing cold. And then nothing. When Emily woke up, the air was thick, humid, sour, and cold. She wasn't in a hospital. She wasn't anywhere safe. Her head throbbed. Her wrists burned from the duct tape digging into her skin. She tried to move, but her body felt heavy, like her bones had been replaced with lead. The room was small and windowless, lit by a single naked bulb that flickered every few seconds. The walls weren't walls at all, just unfinished concrete. There was no sound except for the faint hum of an old refrigerator and someone breathing. "Hello," she whispered, voice trembling. "Is anyone there?" A shape shifted in the dark corner. A girl younger, maybe 15, sat curled up on a stained mattress, her eyes wide and hollow. "You shouldn't talk," she whispered back. "They'll hear you." Emily's heart slammed in her chest. "Who will?" The girl hesitated. "The men. They come when you make noise." The girl's name was Chloe. She'd been missing for weeks, snatched from a bus stop 2 towns away. She'd stopped keeping track of time. "There were others before me," she said quietly, "but they didn't last long." That sentence sank like ice in Emily's stomach. Hours passed, maybe days. The men upstairs came down only twice a day, food trays, water bottles, and that same, sickly smile behind their masks. They didn't speak. They didn't need to. Their silence was worse than shouting. It meant control. At night, Emily tried to stay awake, but sleep always won, and with sleep came the sounds. Sometimes it was footsteps pacing the hallway. Sometimes whispering, voices that didn't belong to anyone in the house. And once, the sound of a small child crying softly through the air vent. On the third night, Emily woke to a different noise, a faint tapping, like fingernails scratching metal. She turned toward the corner, and her eyes widened. The TV. It was on. Static filled the screen, white and hissing. For a second, just before it flickered, she thought she saw a face. A little girl, pale, hair hanging over her eyes. Then it was gone. Do you see her too? Chloe whispered from the shadows. Emily's throat went dry. Who? The little one. She sings when they come. Emily shook her head, pressing her hands to her ears. You're imagining it. But deep down, she knew she wasn't. The next morning, one of the men came earlier than usual. He grabbed Chloe by the arm and pulled her up. No, please. Don't, Chloe screamed. Emily lunged forward, but the man shoved her back hard. She hit the floor, breath knocked out of her. The door slammed. Silence. Minutes passed. Hours. Then the bulb flickered and went out. In the dark, Emily heard humming. Soft, childlike, coming from the vent. Go to sleep, my baby dear. Emily crawled back, heart pounding so loud she could barely hear. The humming grew closer, until she could almost feel breath against her ear. Then a whisper. You'll be next. When Emily woke again, the bulb was gone. The only light came from a crack in the ceiling, thin and gray. The air reeked of mold and rot. Chloe's mattress was empty. Her voice trembled as she whispered into the shadows. Chloe? No answer. The tray of food still sat by the door untouched. The water bottle had tipped, soaking the concrete floor. She felt dizzy, disoriented. The edges of her vision swam. Then came the sound. Scratching. Slow, deliberate, like nails on wood, from underneath the floor. Emily crouched down, pressing her ear to the cold concrete. The sound was right below her, steady, rhythmic, like someone trying to claw their way out. Hello, she whispered. Is someone down there? A child's voice replied, soft and muffled. Don't let him see you. She stumbled backward, heart hammering. Then she saw it, a loose section of the floorboards beneath the mattress. The scratches had carved small grooves into the wood. Someone had been down there. With shaking hands, Emily pried the board loose. Beneath it was a crawl space, damp, narrow, reeking of dirt and decay. She squeezed inside, coughing as dust filled her lungs. There were bones, small, fragile, dolls missing limbs, a pink ribbon crusted with something brown, and dozens of photographs pinned along the inner wall, pictures of girls, all smiling, all different ages. Each one had a date written beneath it in red ink. The most recent one read, Chloe, September 14th. Emily's breath caught. Then she found the next one blank, just her own face, printed and waiting. Her scream echoed through the crawl space. That's when she heard heavy footsteps above. The trapdoor creaked open. A beam of light cut through the darkness. The man with the baseball cap looked down at her, face twisted in rage and grief. You shouldn't have found her room, he said softly. Emily backed up until her spine hit the wall. Whose room? He stepped down into the crawl space, flashlight trembling in his hand. Our daughter's. We lost her years ago. The others, they were supposed to keep her company. His voice cracked, eyes filling with tears. But none of them stayed. None of them were right. The flashlight beam flickered, and in that moment, Emily saw movement behind him. Something pale, small, the shape of a little girl crawling from the dirt, her head tilted, eyes hollow. The man froze. His face shifted from sorrow to sheer terror. No, not you again. The child's voice was a whisper and a growl. You said you'd play forever. He screamed as she lunged forward, arms wrapping around his neck. The flashlight fell, spinning light across the crawl space, illuminating Emily's shaking hands, the bones, the dolls, the walls painted with words. Stay with us. The man's screams turned to choking sounds, then silence. Emily didn't wait. She climbed out, ran barefoot up the basement stairs, through a kitchen coated in dust, and out into the freezing night. She didn't stop running. Not when her lungs burned. Not when branches tore at her skin. Not when she heard the faint voice behind her whisper, "Don't forget me." Emily didn't remember collapsing. All she knew was the sound of sirens and the blinding glow of headlights when she opened her eyes again. She was lying in the middle of a rural road, barefoot, covered in dirt and blood. A truck driver had stopped, his voice shaky as he called 911. The police came fast, too fast, she thought, like they'd been waiting for something to happen out here. At the hospital, her mother ran into the room crying so hard she couldn't speak. "It's okay, baby," she kept whispering. You're safe now. But Emily didn't feel safe. Not really. Not when every time she blinked, she saw that little girl's hollow eyes. Detectives questioned her for hours. They searched the woods, the farmhouse, everything. Nothing. No men. No bodies. No photographs. Just an old burned-down foundation, like the house hadn't stood for years. One of the officers, an older man with a heavy voice, told her something she'd never forget. There used to be a house out there. Belonged to a man named Henry Collins. Ran an orphanage in the late 90s. Caught fire one winter night. He and all the kids died inside. Nobody ever rebuilt it. Emily didn't believe him. She couldn't. She'd been there. She'd touched the walls, the pictures, the bones. But the police found nothing. Not even a crawl space. Weeks passed. Emily went back home. Though she wasn't the same girl anymore. Her laughter was gone. She slept with the lights on. Sometimes she'd wake to small fingerprints on her window. Too small to be hers. Or her phone lighting up at 3 a.m. with a message from an unknown number. Play with me. She deleted it. Every time. But it always came back. Her therapist called it trauma-induced hallucination. Your brain's trying to process fear, he said. The mind replays what it can't understand. But Emily knew better. The real horror wasn't in the kidnapping. It was what came after. One night, she woke to music, a faint lullaby echoing from her phone speaker. She grabbed it with shaking hands. The same song she'd heard in that basement. Go to sleep, my baby dear. Her phone vibrated, and a new photo appeared in her gallery. It was her, asleep in bed. Behind her stood the same small, pale girl, eyes black as night, smiling. The caption beneath the photo read, Daddy says you're the only one who stayed. The phone slipped from Emily's hand. Her heart stopped cold. She looked up at the dark corner of her room. A tiny voice whispered, Thank you for coming back. The lights flickered, and the lullaby started again. Epilogue. When detectives later found Emily's phone, weeks after she disappeared again, it contained hundreds of identical photos. Each one showed Emily sleeping, and in each one, the little girl was standing closer. The final image was of an empty bed. The caption said, Forever friends.